Hey guys, so I'm Bryce, Dayap, third year chemical engineering student, and I'm here with my good friend Vicente. Why don't you introduce yourself, Vicente?
Hi, so my name is Vicente. I am a graduate student in the mechanical engineering department. I'm just about ending my fourth year, and my undergraduate was in physics at Pomona College.
All right. I'm next year's club president for the undergraduate research club, and I want to get a chance to present to everybody on how to get involved in research. So why don't we begin? So first off, why is research important? So research provides like a perspective on science and learning outside of the classroom setting. It gives insight as to the type of work involved with higher education and work experience that can be listed on a resume. So why is it important for higher education for you to get one? As the workforce evolves, higher education shows one's dedication to enhancing his or her industry expertise and credibility. Just like how with the bachelor's degree, more people are getting it, and now it's almost like an entry level type of requirement to have a bachelor's for higher end jobs. And for providing perspective outside of classroom setting, you can learn and practice technical and transferable skills outside of the courses, such as writing, reading, presenting, communicating, analysis, and lab work. So this is the process overview with what each category, each step corresponds to on the presentation. So we'll be going over looking for possible research labs, reaching out to professors, meeting and interviewing for a position, waiting for a response, and the outcome and afterwards. So first, looking for possible research labs. These are the 5 types of ways that you can possibly find research. This is for a research lab that's right for you. You can go through the undergraduate research portal. You can search through faculty profiles. You can reach out to past or present professors. You can look for summer research programs, and you can network. So first, we'll be going over the undergraduate research portal. Here's a link to that. It's a UCR website where you can look at different project titles with the faculty that are involved, the type of student level, the type of work that they'll be doing, and what department they fall under. The thing about the undergraduate research portal is that it's very easy and accessible resource that can be browsed through at any time. It has clearly defined requirements, such as like the student level that they're looking for, and like sometimes GPA. The thing about it though is that it hasn't been updated in a while, and some are very outdated with their deadlines being back in 2016. So just be wary of that. I don't know if it's been updated recently with more, but that's just something to look out for.
Yeah, and I want to stress, like, now, especially now that a lot of things are virtual, we're hoping things open up very soon, but some faculty, for example, in the summer will be continuing the research virtually. So you want to look out for that portal, because I wouldn't be surprised if you see recent updates in it.
So next we'll be looking at canvassing faculty profiles. These are the 2 links for the BCOE and CNAS departments for all the faculties. The CNAS is a little more structured with the departments that you can be involved in, and they have it in separate links on that page. And then the BCOE is just all of the names in alphabetical order. This is an example of one of the profiles that we have. This is Dr. Justin Chartron. He's actually the club advisor for the undergraduate research club. And you can see here his research areas, which is quantitative system biology, biophysics of protein maturation, molecular and cellular engineering, etc. So what you want to do is browse through the faculty, reading and noting the brief research areas that you may find of interest, such as with Dr. Justin Chartron. Find the links to the professor's research lab website or search for them through search engines such as Google Scholar. So if you were to click the view profile, you'd be able to see his links to his thing. And actually for his, it would be a link to his LinkedIn, which has a link to his publications in Google Scholar. Next would be to search for what the professor's lab is about through their publications or through their websites. If you're really interested, read through a publication, making note of any possible topic questions that you may have for later.
Yeah, just to expand on that, you also want to make sure that you not only canvass the department website of the major that you're looking or most interested in. Nowadays, research is very multidisciplinary. So for example, my research is in mechanical engineering, but there's a lot of applications in the biomedical, chemistry, and physics fields. So you want to make sure that you kind of get a broad overview of what different professors in different departments are doing. You don't want to limit your search to one department. So make sure to search through that. And then the other thing I wanted to mention, when you brought up the LinkedIn, do take advantage of those websites and social medias. Oftentimes, like Bryce mentioned, the professor websites through UCR are not the most up to date. So for example, in this slide, we have Google Scholar. Google Scholar automatically updates professors' profiles with their most recent publications. So that's a good source. Of course, LinkedIn is another good source. A source that we forgot to put on here is called researchgate.com. And ResearchGate is very similar to LinkedIn, but it's a little bit more specialized for academics and researchers. So I would really recommend you look through professors' ResearchGate profiles. And surprisingly, Twitter is actually picking up as a social media for academics. So see if there's any engaged professors on Twitter. Oftentimes, they are very happy to share their research on Twitter, and if you engage with it, they will notice your engagement. So that's a good way to stand out. And department sites, not only do you want to canvas through the faculty profiles, also just by looking at the main pages of these department sites, you'll see the departments themselves are highlighting the work of faculty, either through press releases or things of that sort. So that's a good way to know what's new, what's happening at the moment, and just see what's going on. And oftentimes those articles are a little bit easier to read than the professor's publications.
Yeah. And with looking through the faculty, what's great about it is that you can find a wider variety to search through than like the undergraduate research portal. That's very limited in what professors actually contributed to the research portal. It basically lists, all the faculty of all the departments. And so that's a great way to just look at the total scope of the amount of research that goes on at UCR. But the thing about it though is that not every lab is looking for undergraduate research assistants. So sometimes it could be more leaning towards a guess. But if you're still interested in looking at them and asking them questions, they'll be very much willing to like respond to your emails about that. So yeah. Reaching out to past or present professors. So send an email to professors whose courses you've taken or are currently taking and have built a good rapport with. This can also include TAs or other grad students that you know. Search to see what areas of studies they're involved in on campus, just like how you would for canvassing through faculty profiles. The only difference is that they may know you on a personal level. And this is just maybe even approach them through LinkedIn, because I've recently reached out to one of my professors who I had taken a course with. She remembers me pretty fondly. It's just I hadn't gotten around to talking with her that much, but just to just form a connection, and sometimes they may remember you, sometimes they may not, but reaching out to the past or present professors is a good way of like getting connected easily with the faculty.
Yeah, and just like you said, I want to stress TAs are a good way to figure out which professors are accepting volunteers for research. Um, Also, you can take advantage of assignments you have. Many of your classes require you to write essays or research projects, ideas. Oftentimes, whatever topic you choose, there's someone in the school doing relevant work to that. And so not only can you reach out to those professors to ask questions and cite them in your essays, but that's a good way to have that personal connection and sort of um, walk into their office with a question already like in mind.
Next, we have summer research programs. This is only a small list of the type of the amount of programs that are available, such as the Summer Rise program or Research in Science and Engineering program. REUs, Research Experience for Undergraduates. The REUs can be across the country. They're funded by, I think, the NSF, and they usually pay you to do research out in other colleges. They provide you with a stipend to live out there with to do research. The Keck Graduate Institute KGI programs. And if you'd like to know more about these programs, I won't go into much depth with them right now, but send an email to urc@ucr@gmail.com for a PowerPoint going into detail about these specific research programs. I know that many of these research programs require letters of recommendation for you to be able to send an application for them. And they usually tend to want higher GPAs and such as that, or maybe even experience in research. The last point is networking. It's one of the most underrated things. It's not what you know, but who you know. And that can involve asking friends or colleagues who you know who are involved in research if the lab they're working in or in association with are looking for undergraduate research assistants. All it takes is a simple handshake and someone that you know and that are willing to speak out for you. It's one of the easiest ways to get one, to get a research position, because that was actually one of the how I got my first research position, was that I had gotten through connection. I was attending a presentation on actually how to get involved in research, and I had asked lots of questions, and my friend had seen that I was very interested in, very much so, being involved with research. So he asked if I wanted to meet with one of the grad students that he knows was looking for an undergrad student. And that's actually how I was able to get an interview and fortunate enough to have a research position over the summer.
Yeah. Again, networking is, like you said, again, it's very underrated. I know, for example, in the mechanical engineering department, the department hosts weekly colloquium or seminars that they bring in a speaker from a different school to talk about their research. What I've noticed, I'm not sure if they have this in your departments or if they require undergraduate students to go, but as a graduate student, oftentimes we're required to go to these research talks, and professors are also highly engaged. And that's a good way to stand out if you're an undergraduate and you want to reach out to faculty and other graduate students. Try to attend these seminars and colloquium, figure out who's asking the questions, what people are involved in, and you'll most likely be one of the few undergraduates in the room. So once we start having these physical seminars again, that's a great way to reach out and stand out.
So the next step after finding a research lab that you want to pursue is reaching out to professors. There's two modes of communication, electronically or in person. And when you try to reach out to professors, try to read their publications beforehand and develop questions for them. And this can be from, as we've said before, Google Scholar or maybe their faculty profile has their website of their where their research is mostly located at, or even just YouTube videos that highlighting their work. It could be a lot of things. And so when you're reaching out electronically, what you want is a professional email with questions about the specific research, and asking also if they have any available positions. And included in this PowerPoint is a sample email posted by the College of Natural and Agricultural Sciences. It just highlights what you should be asking and how you should be addressing the professor. And when you want to do it in person, reaching out to the professor, you want to look up their office locations, office hours on their faculty profile. You want to bring the papers that you analyzed along with your resume, and just make sure to be polite and engaged in your conversation. They want to know that you're interested as much as they are, you know. Next would be meeting and interviewing. So be familiar with the research of the lab you applied for. You don't have to know everything, but you should at least understand the general topic of what they are researching. Make sure to ask plenty of questions like in a regular interview. It's always great that you're thinking kind of on the same level that they're thinking, that you want to understand more. Practice answering possible interview questions. What would you say your biggest strengths and weaknesses? Or why do you want to research with the group? What do you hope to gain? How many hours/semesters do you plan to commit? Because the graduate students and PIs are always looking for students who are going to be in the lab for long periods of time, because they don't want to retrain people. So it's great that if they can get someone who can commit for such a long time.
Yeah. And just to clarify, by long time, we don't mean like long times in a week, like many hours. We mean like being involved in a research group for more than 1 quarter if possible. The longer you're there, the more you're going to be involved and the more techniques you're going to learn, and also just the better recommendation letter that the professor can write for you.
Yeah. And before, what I had gotten from another student previously before was, what do professors and graduate students look for in a student? What they look for is someone who can have a large time commitment to be able to like help in the lab for as many times as possible. For a level of independence, you know, that they don't require as much like guidance, but you know, obviously at the beginning we all start off somewhere, so they're very much willing to contribute that time to make sure that you get everything right at the beginning, and just to bring a resume to see like what kind of qualifications that they have, you know.
Yeah. And in terms of resumes and when reaching out through email, you can take your you can take your emails and resumes to the Career Center to have it looked over before you send that email. So take advantage of that, definitely.
And what I had forgotten to put for the reaching out electronically was that not to write mass emails out to professors. Make each one, you know, pretty individual or personal, like with specific questions to their research, because you don't want to make it seem as though they're just one of the other labs. You want to make sure that they know that you're very much so interested in getting involved with them. Yep. So when meeting and interviewing, make sure to be punctual. Like if you set like a time that you need to meet with either the professor or the graduate student. Dress casual / business casual. It doesn't need to be professional with a suit and tie or anything. Stay calm and express strong interest in working in their lab. It's okay not to know everything, but just show that you're enthusiastic, willing to learn. And after that, after you meet and interview, you'll be waiting for a response. Make sure to send a thank you email as an appreciation of their time within a day. Continue applying and interviewing for other labs. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, although you might want to get into one specific lab. You know, keep your options open, always keep applying. If you get into multiple at the same time, just let one of the other labs know that you will not be able to dedicate time as you have another research that has asked you. They'll be very understanding. You just have to make sure to notify them. Check your email daily and do not be discouraged if you're not selected. It's a competitive process sometimes, and so there could be multiple applying at once. It's just keep trying, don't give up.
Yeah, and particularly nowadays, I mean, professors are always going to be busy. So just keep that in mind. If you don't get a response, it doesn't necessarily mean a negative thing. You can always send a follow-up email or even reach out to one of the graduate students. Don't be afraid to approach us graduate students. We're your colleagues. We're not really there to, to put you down. We really want you to succeed. So feel free to reach out to a graduate student and just say, hey, I sent Dr. So-and-so an email. I'm wondering if you know of a way I can better reach them or if I should follow up. And usually with the follow-up email, you'll most likely receive a response.
And now comes the outcome and afterwards. So if you are able to get the position, be prepared to start training and set aside time every week for research. Plan around your school schedule and notify the person that you work for about any changes. Mostly because it'll give like some structure to the partnership that you'll be providing. Because most of the time, graduate students and the professors work long hours every day. So you just have to notify them. They'll be very understanding if like something comes up, but they want like to set a schedule at least for a little bit of when they can ask you to come in. Ask about possible compensation for your service, either as credits or even a stipend. Sometimes you'll be working as just volunteer, and that's okay because it gives you like a chance for working experience in a lab. But sometimes they also provide some kind of stipend if they have the funding, or even credits that you can apply towards your degree.
Yeah. Also, along with that, if you do happen to get involved with a group, make sure to always be prepared. If it involves a laboratory, always bring your lab notebook and be prepared to document everything. Come in with your pencils and pens. And again, I'm going to stress, communicate effectively with your mentor, whether that be the professor directly or a graduate colleague. Try to set a schedule early on that you follow and treat this research like a class. So don't only show up when you have the time. Try to show up on time and in schedule, just as you would for any other class.
And on the bottom right is the UC Learning Center, which if you're able to get into research, is the portal of which you will perform your training. And sometimes it starts off as basic lab safety, and for each individual lab, you'll get certain trainings. Like I worked for the bioengineering lab department, so I had to do specific research or specific training for working with biohazards. So that's just one thing to note for future. So for afterwards, learn and practice your skills in lab until you're confident. Practice makes perfect, and what you want to do is just be able to know that you can accomplish the tasks like at any time to the fullest, to the best of your abilities. Try to continue to understand the objective and methods of the research. You'll start off not really knowing much, but over time you will hopefully be able to learn more about what you're doing in the lab and be able to understand what you're trying to accomplish in terms of what kind of work they're trying to do. If you don't understand anything, ask your grad student or ask the professor that you're working for what they're doing, and just try to understand more. And consider making a research poster and presentation for the research symposium. So what a big thing with doing research is that you want to be able to communicate and tell others about your research, and the research symposium is a great way of giving an opportunity to present to others in like like an early stage fashion of which you make a poster and orally speak to people, telling them about like what you've done, what you're trying to accomplish in the lab. And yeah, stay motivated and eager to learn. You know, you want to just be able to know why you're there, and that what you're trying to do is you're trying to help someone with research, and you know, just try to be motivated and try to work to the best of your abilities.
Yeah, and I want to say, once you're working in a lab, oftentimes your first couple of days or weeks might be repetitive. You might be asked to write a code or run some experiments, but don't be discouraged. Like, just because the first couple of days might be, again, repetitive or like boring, it doesn't mean that that it will continue that way. This is sort of just a test to get you start training, and once you're more involved and you show that you're engaged, you're going to be tasked with more responsibilities and things of that sort. And also, you want to show that you're committed. And oftentimes, the ways to do that is to do a little bit more than what you're asked for. So, for example, the first week, your mentor may ask you to read 1 or 2 papers to get familiar with the field. Well, if you have the time, try to read 1 extra paper that you were not assigned, just to sort of show that you really like this research and that you want to engage more.
Yeah, and if things end up not working out, that you know that you may not find that the lab is the right fit for you, don't be afraid to tell them that, and it's all right to leave. Just make sure to tell them why, and that you are. Don't just suddenly disappear, and make sure to, you know, don't burn bridges. Just maintain a good relationship with the lab. And that's all. I will be stopping the recording here, and if you guys have any questions, now is the time.